is it? Okay, so now it's connected to YouTube. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So in the previous chapter 15, we discussed about the description of Kingdom of God. Chapter 15 is entitled Description of the Kingdom of God. So I'll give a very quick summary in 3 minutes of the previous chapter so that we'll have continuity. Demigods went to Lord Brahma after seeing the darkness all over the universe. The light of the sun and moon was impaired due to Diti's pregnancy. She bore this pregnancy for 100 years. And so all directions, there was darkness in the universe. So they went to Lord Brahma to solve this issue. And Lord Brahma, so then narrated a story wherein he mentions that how the 2 doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, were cursed by Kumaras to take birth in this material world and be born through Diti. They entered into the Diti womb. So, and then Lord Brahma gives a wonderful, wonderful description of Vaikuntha. We spent quite a bit of time in our last class on this section. So he talks about Vaikuntha men. They all have similar bodily feature to the Lord. And Vaikuntha Lord is great. And there is Vaikuntha forests, Vaikuntha birds, and Vaikuntha plants, Vaikuntha couples, Vaikuntha airplanes, Vaikuntha Lakshmis. So we discussed quite a lot on this section and focused heavily on this section, wherein we understood that what is the consciousness of Vaikuntha beings? There is no envy. There is only service for the Lord. And if we want to enter into Vaikuntha, then we have to develop similar qualities. Otherwise, we can't go and fit there. We will be out of the place. We will be the odd one if we go there. So that section, please read it. If you have time, read it. You will love a lot. And then Lord Brahma says this. Lord, after describing the Vaikuntha, Lord Brahma says these 4 Kumaras, my sons, with their mystic potency, they entered into the spiritual world, and they crossed 6 gates of Vaikuntha, and at the 7th gate they were stopped by 2 doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay, of same age and have similar bodily features to the Lord. And these Kumaras, although they were oldest of Brahma's children, they remained as 4 boys. We all know that, 4 small boys, and they were not wearing any clothes at all. So they were stopped at the 7th gate. So there was no blockage until then, but however, they were stopped at the 7th gate by the 2 doorkeepers. This was a little different behavior. Like, we heard about Vaikuntha, how the plants behave, how the birds behave, how the couples behave. So, but looking at that behavior, and the behavior of Jay and Vijay appear to be slightly different. And so Kumaras, then they became angry. What? In Vaikuntha, who would come? No enemy can enter here. There is no fear. Everything is in harmony with the Lord. How can you stop us? And then they became angry, and then they cursed them to go to the material world. And then immediately Jay and Vijay realized that they committed an offense at the feet of 4 Kumaras, and then they said that okay, we can go to the material world, but please, can we have the remembrance of the Lord wherever we are? And in the meantime, Lord understood something is going on at the gate. Immediately he came with his associates, and then the next section describes the beauty of the Lord, and then so after smelling the aroma of the tulsi leaves that were placed at the Lord's lotus feet, the Kumaras had a change in the they had experienced wonderful bodily transformation. Then they became devotees, pure devotees. They were on the Brahman conception, but after that there was a change, there was a transformation, and they offered number of prayers. They were, they mentioned in their prayers, Lord, wherever we are, no problem, whether it is hell, heaven, or anywhere, my Lord, please, can we have your service? Can we have remembrance of you? And like that, they have ended their prayers. And now, so we entered into chapter 16, entitled Jai and Vijay, cursed by the sages. Or it says the 2 doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, cursed by the sages. So can we ask someone to read from text 1 to 12, please?
Can I read?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no problem. Just let me share the screen. Chapter 6. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Lord Brahma said, after this, congratulating the sages for their nice words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abode is in the kingdom of God, spoke as follows. The Personality of Godhead said, these attendants of mine, Jay and Vijay, by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me. O great sages, I approve of the punishment that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them. To me, the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me because the doormen are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself, therefore I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen. A wrong act committed by a servant leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body pollutes all of the skin. Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in hearing through the ear the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized without doubt, therefore I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found hostile to you. The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin, and I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her, while others praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor. I do not enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrifices in the sacrificial fire, which is one of my own mouths, with the same relish as I do the delicacies the delicacies overflowing with ghee which are offered to the mouths of the Brahmanas, who have dedicated to me the results of their activities and who are ever satisfied with my prasad. I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. That water sanctifies the three worlds along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? The Brahmanas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment has been impaired by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture-like messengers of Yamaraj, the superintendent of sinful persons. On the other hand, they captivate my heart, who are gladdened in heart and who their lotus faces, enlightened by nectarian smiles, respect the Brahmanas, even though the Brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the Brahmanas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long. Thank you.
Thank you, Apurva Devi. This section is very fascinating. Here, Lord apologizes to Kumaras because a mistake committed by the servant is actually comes to the master, isn't it? Master is responsible for servants' mistakes. So in this section, we can see that how nicely Lord glorifies the Brahmanas or Kumaras, devotees basically. And this is a section, again, we can spend a lot of time. So there are a number of wonderful purports. We may read one or two, but I request that, when you have some free time, please do read the purports as well. So, what does the Lord say? Actually, Lord says that I approve this punishment. I consider this an offense to myself, Lord says. And then he says, let me bring up the screen, and there are wonderful points here. We'll read a couple of purports as well. So, yeah. So then he says, it's a great offense, and I consider this an offense by myself. And in the text 4, the Lord says, actually, before that, he says that, yeah, the punishment that you have awarded to them is actually, it's my will. The Lord says later on also. Brahmana is the highest, and any disrespect shown by my attendants actually being displayed by me because the doormen or servitors. So we discussed this. So this is an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness. Lord is asking forgiveness. So they committed offense, and actually, because they're my servant, I take this to be my offense. So how careful we should be in dealing with the devotees. If Lord is apologizing to Kumaras, to devotees, how careful we should be when dealing with Brahmanas and devotees. And there are some nice explanation about Brahmanas. Here, the word used is Brahmana. Brahmana is the most beloved personality, Lord says. So I request someone to read this from where is, yeah. Maybe Apurva, you can continue reading this.
Sure, okay. A circle. Oh, okay. Is there an echo? Can you hear the echo?
I'm okay.
Oh, okay, fine. A so-called Brahmana who is born in the family of Brahmanas but performs activities aimed against the Vaishnavas cannot be accepted as a Brahmana, because Brahmana means Vaishnav and Vaishnav means Brahmana. One who has become a devotee of the Lord is also a Brahmana. The formula is Brahmajanatiti Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who has understood Brahman, and a Vaishnav is one who has understood the personality of Godhead. Brahman realization is the beginning of realization of the personality of Godhead. One who understands the personality of Godhead also knows the impersonal feature of the Supreme, which is Brahman. Therefore, one who becomes a Vaishnava is already a Brahman. It should be noted that the glories of the Brahman described in this chapter by the Lord himself refer to his devotee. Brahman or the Vaishnav, it should never be misunderstood that the so-called Brahmanas, who are born in Brahmana families but have no Brahminical qualifications, are referred to in this connection. Thank you.
Yeah, so who is a Brahmana? Lord addresses repeatedly Brahmana. Brahmana is a devotee. A Vaishnava devotee is a Brahman. Brahman doesn't mean, here it is said, that so-called Brahmanas who are born in Brahmana families but have no Brahminical qualifications. They are not. So just a Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord is already a Brahman. That is the point that Prabhupada nicely explains. Often there is misunderstanding among devotees, but I think this can be circulated in a devotee community. This paragraph, this couple of sentences that we have read. So, okay, and Lord says that then he says, everyone is, even a Chandala can be purified just by hearing my holy name. So now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found to be hostile to you. See, another great point by the Lord. First, he apologized and he took the offense on himself. And then he says here that even a lowest among the creatures can be elevated to the devotee or Brahmana platform just by hearing the Lord's name and form. And for such type of people, so Lord is telling, is ready to cut off his own arms if its conduct is found to be hostile towards the Brahmanas. So Prabhupada gives in the purport that anybody can become a devotee. So in the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, we know 932. So Krishna says anybody. Only thing is one has to take shelter of the Lord. Their past doesn't matter. We know that every saint had a past, every sinner will have a future. But see, so Prabhupada comments quite a lot about this, like we should not look upon the devotees who are, who are coming from a lower background materially and socially. But as long as they become devotees, we should treat them as Vaishnavas and devotees. And so this is another beautiful verse, text 7. Yeah, I'll recite. This is a memory verse. Yatse vaya charana padma pavitra renum sadhyaha shatakila malam pratilabda shilam nashrir viraktamapimam vijahati yasyaha preksha lavartha itare niyaman vihanti. So Lord says he actually is the servant of his devotee. So I'm the servitor of my devotees. And that's why my lotus feet have become so sacred. They immediately wipe out all the sins that have acquired such a disposition that a goddess of fortune doesn't leave. Here, Lord says that because of his great affection towards his devotees, he is gaining the strength. He is getting his power. So it's a very, again, Prabhupada mentioned here, it's a bhakta vatsala nature. And we know the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj. When Ambarish Maharaj was offended by Durvasa, so Durvasa went to various places we know for protection, and ultimately reaches Vaikuntha, and he approached Lord Vishnu, but Lord Vishnu sends that I'm under the control of my devotees. Aham bhakta paradina. I don't have any power. So go and beg forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj. I can't do anything. So this is the position. This is a nice, affectionate, loving relationship between the Lord and his devotees. And here comes in text 8. So this is the best sacrifice. Lord says that, usually the fire is considered to be the mouth of the Lord. Usually Brahmanas, when they do fire sacrifices, they put ghee and offer oblations, swaha, idam Krishnana, idam mama, something like that. So it is not mine, it is Krishna's, and the fire is considered to be the mouth of the Lord. But actually Krishna says that, no, I don't enjoy the oblations that are offered in the fire sacrifice. But what I will eat through the mouth of Brahmanas. If someone feeds a Brahmana, I enjoy that. So Brahmanas are my mouth. Brahmana's mouth is my mouth. So this is a good sacrifice. If you ever want to do a sacrifice and offer food to the Lord, this is the best way. Offer food, invite devotees, feed them nicely. Yeah, and in text 10 and 11, Lord says that, we know that Namo Brahmanya Devaya Gur Brahmanita. Lord is, so Lord says that the Brahmanas, cows, and other defenseless creatures, Prabhupada writes in the Purport, children, elderly, women, all these, but especially the Brahmanas and cows are very dear. And if someone offend them, so Lord takes it very seriously. And on the other hand, if one pleases them, they will be pleased by the Lord. So in this section, we can see how Lord apologizes to Kumaras and then glorifies Kumaras and glorifies Kumaras in the sense that shows his loving affection towards his devotees. Okay, so next we'll move on, and in the next section 13 to 25. Who is going to read? Mother Kumar is not here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, are you there? Sorry.
Hello. We can just keep going down the list. Anil, Singhu Prabhu, and Anuradha Mataji can read. I don't know who's number one. Don't have a name. Anil Prabhu, are you okay to read? If not, then Anuradha will.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji already. Hare Krishna. So text 13. Brahma continued. Even though the sages had been bitten by the serpent of anger, their souls were not satiated with hearing the Lord's lovely and illuminating speech, which was like a series of Vedic hymns. Text 14. The Lord's excellent speech was difficult to comprehend because of its momentous import and its most profound significance. The sages heard it with wide open ears and pondered it as well. But although hearing, they could not understand what he intended to do. Text 15. Therefore, Brahmana sages were nevertheless extremely delighted to behold him, and they experienced a thrill throughout their bodies. They then spoke as follows to the Lord, who had revealed the multi glories of the Supreme Personality through his internal potency, Yogamaya. Text 16. The sages said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are unable to know what you intend for us to do. For even though you are the supreme ruler of all, you speak in our favor as if we had done something good for you. Text 17. O Lord, you are the supreme director of the Brahmanical culture. You are considering the Brahmanas to be in the highest position is your example for teaching others. Actually, you are the supreme worshipable deity, not only for the gods, but for the Brahmanas also. Text 18. You are the source of the eternal occupation of all living entities, and by your multi manifestations of personalities of Godhead, you have always protected religion. You are the supreme objective of religious principles, and in your opinion, you are inexhaustible and unchangeable eternally. Text 19. Mystics and transcendentalists, by the mercy of the Lord, cross beyond nescience by seizing all material desires. It is not possible, therefore, that the Supreme Lord can be favored by others. Text 20. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, the dust of whose feet is worn on the head by others, waits upon you as appointed, for she is anxious to secure a place in the abode of the king of bees, who hovers on the fresh breath of tulsi leaves offered at your feet by some blessed devotee. Text 21. O Lord, you are exceedingly attached to the activities of your pure devotees. Yet you are never attached to the goddess of fortune who constantly engage in your transcendental loving service. How can you be purified, therefore, by the dust of the path traversed by the Brahmanas? And how can you be glorified or made fortunate by the marks of Srivatsa on your chest? Text 22. O Lord, you are the personification of all religion. Therefore, you manifest yourself in 3 millenniums, and thus you protect this universe, which consists of animate and inanimate beings. By your grace, which is of pure goodness and is the bestower of all blessings, kindly drive away the elements of Rajas and Tamas for the sake of the demigods and twice born. Text 23. O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your lordship. Text 24. Dear Lord, you never want the auspicious path to be destroyed, for you are the reservoir of all goodness. Just to benefit people in general, you destroy the evil element by your mighty potency. You are the proprietor of the three creations and the maintainer of the entire universe. Therefore, your potency is not reduced by your submissive behavior. Rather, by submission, you exhibit your transcendental pastimes. Text 25. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed two faultless persons.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So, Kumaras were stunned and amazed after hearing those beautiful words from the lotus mouth of the Lord. So Lord said, actually apologized Kumaras and saying the Brahmanas, he has got the highest regard for Brahmanas. And he said that actually he is the servant of Brahmanas. That's when, because of that, he gets his mystic power. And by feeding Brahmanas, you feed Lord Vishnu. I don't accept the food that is offered in the fire, but I accept the food that is offered in the mouths of my devotees. And I'm ready to accept the dust of the lotus feet of my devotees. And all these wonderful things shows Lord's loving affection towards his devotees. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport regarding this food offered to the Brahmanas. Advaita Acharya, we all know that he is no different from Mahavishnu. And he was a Brahmin here when he appeared. And he offered the Shraddha plate to Haridas Thakur, considering Haridas Thakur to be a greatest of Brahmanas. Although Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family, we all know that. So he used to chant 192 rounds, something like that. We know the story how he made the prostitute into devotee. So he offered that rather than inviting the so-called Brahmanas, but he just fed Haridas Thakur. And regarding the dust of the, like Lord says that, see, the Ganges, emanated from my toe, is accepted by Lord Shiva, and that water purifies entire three worlds. But however, the dust of my devotees will purify me. And we know the story of gopis, isn't it? When Krishna got a headache, so Krishna, Narada Muni told, Narada Muni said, what is the remedy, my Lord? So if someone gives the dust of lotus feet of my devotees, then that will cure me. So we know the story that how Narada Muni went everywhere, approached all devotees, but they all said no. However, gopis, they said they are ready to offer the dust. They didn't mind going to hell or wherever. So then after speaking like that, then Lord says that, yes, no problem, I'll accept the curse. The only thing is that I wanted my devotees, my servants, to come back to me sooner. In text 12. So Prabhupada says that, so Lord is very anxious about his servants. He doesn't want to lose the association of his servants. So we will read this in the text 26. It's the Lord's arrangement. You may wonder, we may wonder why, being Vaikunta, Jai and Vijay had to undergo this. This is just Lord's plan. This is Lord's plan. Many great acharyas have explained. We will read that in text 26. So Kumaras, they were really happy after hearing, and they were not sure exactly what to be done, and they praise the Lord. They praise the Lord. They offer their own praise. They glorify the Lord. Oh my Lord, you are saying all this, but actually this you do to set a good example to others. So when Lord comes, he respects Brahmanas. We know that famous story. What is that story from Srimad Bhagavatam? Sudama Brahman, we know. So when Sudama visited Dwaraka, how Lord treated him. He made him sit on the throne and he washed his feet, and he took that water, sprinkled on his own head, and he offered puja to Brahmana, Sudama. So you do this to set a good example. You no need of doing this, but you do this just to set a good example to others. You are religion personified. And then in text 24, they mention a wonderful point. In text 24, they say that, therefore your potency is not reduced by your submissive behavior. Rather, by submission, you exhibit your transcendental pastimes. So when he becomes charioteer of Arjun, when he becomes son of Nanda Maharaj, so we can read this purport. This is out of his, it's a transcendental pastime. So we'll read this small purport, which is a beautiful purport. Yes, Madha Kumar, you may read this if you like.
Okay, thank you. Lord Krishna was never reduced in his position by becoming a cowherd boy, or by offering respect to Sudama Brahmana, or his other devotees like Nanda Maharaj. Vasudev, Maharaj Yudhishthir, and the Pandavas' mother Kunti. Everyone knew that he was the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna, yet his behavior was exemplary. The supreme personality of Godhead is Satchidananda Vigraha. His form is completely spiritual, full of bliss and knowledge, and it is eternal. Because the living entities are his parts and parcels, originally they also belong to the same quality of eternal form as the Lord. But when they come in contact with Maya, the material potency, due to their forgetfulness, their existential constitution is covered. We should try to understand the appearance of Lord Krishna in this spirit as the Kumaras pray to him. He is eternally a cowherd boy at Vrindavan. He is eternally the leader of the battle of Kurukshetra. And he is eternally the opulent prince of Dwaraka and the lover of the damsels of Vrindavan. All his appearances are meaningful because they show his real characteristics to the conditioned souls who have forgotten their relationship with the Supreme Lord. He does everything for their benefit. The force exhibited in the battle of Kurukshetra by the desire of Krishna and through the agency of Arjuna was also necessary because when people become too irreligious, force is required. Non-violence in this respect is rascaldom.
Thank you. So here, the main point that I wanted to focus was that it's out of his sweet will, he becomes subservient to his devotees. We know the Damodar Leela pastime like that. It's sweet will. So next we'll move on to the next section, that is from 25 till the end of the chapter, please.
Anuradha Mataji, you okay to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Text 25. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, also to us we shall understand that we have cursed two faultless persons. The Lord replied, O Brahmanas, know that the punishment you inflicted on them was originally ordained by me, and therefore they will fall to a birth in a demoniac family. But they will be firmly united with me in thought through mental concentration, intensified by anger, and they will return to my presence shortly. Text 27. Lord Brahma said, after seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the self-illuminated Vaikuntha planet, the sages left the transcendental abode. Text 28. The sages circumambulated the Supreme Lord, offered their obeisances, and returned extremely delighted. Text 29. The Lord then said to his attendants, Jaya and Vijaya, depart this place, but fear not. All glories unto you. Though I am capable of nullifying the Brahmanas' curse, I would not hurt it. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping. Text 31. The Lord assured the Vaikuntha inhabitants, Jaya and Vijaya, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be cleansed of the sin of disobeying the Brahmanas, and within a short time return to me. Text 32. After thus speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode, where there are many celestial airplanes and all surpassing wealth and splendor. Text 33. But those two gatekeepers, the best of the demigods, their beauty and luster diminished by the curse of the Brahmanas, became morose and fell from Vaikuntha, the abode of the Supreme Lord. Text 34. Then, as Jaya and Vijaya fell from the Lord's abode, a great roar of disappointment arose from all the demigods who were sitting in their splendid airplanes. Text 35. Lord Brahma continued, those two principal doorkeepers of the personality of Godhead have now entered the womb of Diti, the powerful semen of Kashyapa Muni, having covered them. Text 36. It is the prowess of these twin asuras, demons, that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power, however, for it is the Lord himself who desires to do all this. Text 37. My dear sons, the Lord is the controller of the three modes of nature and is responsible for the creation, preservation, and dissolution of the universe. His wonderful creative power, Yogamaya, cannot be easily understood even by the masters of yoga. The most ancient person, the personality of Godhead, will alone come to our rescue. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So please be attentive in this section, and we will read at least one or two purports. And I think these purports, I was telling Sumedh, my son, that every devotee should actually by heart and read every day. You will understand where I'm pointing. But just give me 1 minute and let's see. So text. Right. So in this section, so after Kumaras glorified the Lord and prayed to the Lord in that way, and they said, they concluded, my Lord, we are ready to accept whatever the punishment, because we cursed them, so we are also at fault. So whatever the punishment that you want to award to these two doorkeepers as well as to us, no problem, we are ready to accept. And then Lord says, no, the curse that you watered actually is got my permission. So that's my will that you uttered the curse. And then he says to them, the gatekeepers, that this departure of them from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, Mother Lakshmi. Here Lord narrates another incident that Mother Lakshmi was stopped at the gate when she left Vaikuntha and was coming back, but at that time Lord was sleeping. And Lord says that you will depart from this world, spiritual world, enter the material world, but you practice mystic yoga in what do you call in angry mood. Yes, that is also mystic yoga. They were thinking constantly comes as, say, for example, all these demons, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. So we know that first they became Jaya Vijaya, became Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Later they became Ravan and Kumbhakarna, and then Shishupala and Dantavakra. So they were inimical. They practice mystic yoga in enmity. And so they were thinking of the Lord constantly as an enemy. So in that way, you return to me immediately, sooner. And in text 26, Lord actually, Prabhupada gives a detailed description of this, why they were sent back to the material world. Usually we know that if someone goes to Vaikunta, they never fall down, isn't it? They never fall down. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Having gone to that place, one never comes back. That is my place, Krishna says in the Gita several times. But here we see that Jaya and Vijay they departed from Vaikunta and then re-entered into the material world. So here, Lord Prabhupada gives nice, beautiful purport. Maybe we can quickly read a little bit, and then because we got one more purport to read. Yes, Madhu Kumar, if you can ask someone to read this, that would be
good. Just going down the order, Arvind, the Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
The Lord replied, O Brahmanas, know that the punishment you inflicted on them was originally ordained by me, and therefore they will fall to a birth in a demoniac family. But they will be firmly united with me in thought through mental concentration, intensified by anger, and they will return to my presence shortly. The Lord stated that the punishment inflicted by the sages upon the doorkeepers Jay and Vijay was conceived by the Lord himself. Without the Lord's sanction, nothing can happen. It is to be understood that there was a plan in the cursing of the Lord's devotees in Vaikuntha, and his plan is explained by many stalwart authorities. The Lord sometimes desires to fight. The fighting spirit also exists in the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, how could fighting be manifested at all? Because the Lord is the source of everything, anger and fighting are also inherent in his personality. When he desires to fight with someone, he has to find an enemy. But in the Vaikuntha world, there is no enemy because everyone is engaged fully in his service. Therefore, he sometimes comes to the material world as an incarnation in order to manifest his fighting spirit. In Bhagavad Gita 4.8, also it is stated that the Lord appears just to give protection to the devotees and to annihilate the non-devotees. The non-devotees are found in the material world, not in the spiritual world. Therefore, when the Lord wants to fight, he has to come to this world. But who will fight with the Supreme Lord? No one is able to fight with him. Therefore, because the Lord's pastimes in the material world are always performed with us, his associates, not with others, he has to find some devotee who will play the part of an enemy. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says to Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, both you and I have appeared many, many times in this material world, but you have forgotten, whereas I remember. Thus, Jay and Vijay was selected by the Lord to fight with him in the material world, and that was the reason the sages came to see him, and accidentally the doorkeepers were cursed. It was the Lord's desire to send them to the material world, not perpetually, but for some time. Therefore, just as on the theatrical stage, someone takes the part of an enemy to the proprietor of the stage, although the play is for a short time and there is no permanent enmity between the servant and the proprietor, so the Surajanas devotees were cursed by the sages to go to the Asurajanas, or atheistic families. Therefore, a devotee should come into the atheistic family. Therefore, a devotee should come into an atheistic family is surprising, but it is simply a show. After finishing their mock fighting, both the devotee and the Lord are again associated in the spiritual planets. That is very explicitly explained here. The conclusion is that no one falls from the spiritual world or Vaikuntha planet, for it is the eternal abode. But sometimes, as the Lord desires, devotees come into this material world as preachers or atheists. In each case, we must understand that there is a plan of the Lord. Lord Buddha, for example, was an incarnation, yet he preached atheism. There is no God, but actually there was a plan behind this, as explained in the Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, that will answer our questions. It's the Lord's plan. Yes, simply Lord's plan. Lord wanted to fight, and he'll not be able to fight in Vaikunta. So he has to come to material world. He needs some strong fighters, not the small ones. So that's why he sends his own devotees, and his devotees also are happy to take part in that role, isn't it? If that is the service, then yeah, they can offer that service. Yeah. So please bear in mind, please do understand that it is the Lord's plan, Lord's wish, and it is not a fall down, from Vaikunta. It's Lord's arrangement, complete arrangement. That please understand that. That's one important thing. And next thing is the last verse purport. Yeah. So Brahma describes entire story, because we know that demigods approached him to solve the issue. There was darkness all over the universe. The light of sun and moon was impaired. They were not able to do any activity. And so then Lord Brahma narrates the entire story, and then says that these giant Vijay now entered into the womb of Titi. And then he concludes, this is the Lord's will. Nobody can do anything. It's the Lord's plan. And we read the purport of text 37 and finish it. That's the wonderful purport. I think everyone, please listen very attentively. Yes, Madhav Kumar Prabhu, you may, or you can ask someone to read this. It's a beautiful, beautiful purport.
Yes. Yes,
please.
Prabhu. I think I remember now, last week we read up until Kamal Roniar Prabhu. So maybe Manjula Mataji can read if she's available.
Krishna?
I can read it. I'll just try to, I'm just trying to make it a bit bigger so that I can read. 1 second. Right, just bear with me, Prabhu. When something is arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should not be disturbed by it, even if it appears to be a reverse according to one's calculations. For example, sometimes we see that a powerful preacher is killed, or sometimes he is put into difficulty, just as Haridas Thakur was. He was a great devotee who came into this material world to execute the will of the Lord by preaching the Lord's glories. But Haridas was punished at the hands of the Qazi by being bitten in 22 marketplaces. Similarly, Lord Jesus was crucified and Prahlad Maharaj was put through so many tribulations. The Pandavas, who were direct friends of Krishna, lost their kingdom, their wife was insulted, and they had to undergo many severe tribulations. Seeing all these reverse affect devotees, one should not be disturbed. One should simply understand that in these matters there must be some plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavatam's conclusion is that a devotee is never disturbed by such reverses. He accepts even reverse conditions as the grace of the Lord. One who continues to serve the Lord even in reverse conditions is assured that he will go back to Godhead, back to the Vaikuntha planets. Lord Brahma assured the demigods that there was no use in talking about how the disturbing situation of darkness was taking place, since the actual fact was that it was ordered by the Supreme Lord. Brahma knew this because he was a great devotee. It was possible for him to understand the plan of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So the other day when I was reading this chapter and going through the purports, and then, so when I came to this purport, I was telling my son Sumedh that every ISKCON devotee, every devotee should by heart this purport or read every day. Yeah. Many times we ask this question, why is happening? Why this is happening? Why that devotee is affected by COVID? Why, why I'm having problems? Prabhupada gives so many examples here. Haridas Thakur was put into difficulty. Prahlad Maharaj was, and similarly Jesus Christ was, Pandavas were. But the most important point here is the Bhagavatam's conclusion is that a devotee is never disturbed by such reverses. He accepts even reverse conditions as the grace of the Lord. One who continues to serve the Lord, even in reverse condition, is assured that he will go back to the Godhead, back to Vaikuntha. We can put this, print it, put this on our room and read it every day. So he tells that, oh demigods, don't worry. This is Lord's arrangement. We can't do much now. We just accept it and continue our devotion. Very beautiful chapter. In this chapter, Lord first apologizes to Kumaras and glorifies devotees and Brahmanas. And then Kumaras in turns glorify the Lord. And then and then what happened? Then Lord says that yes, it is my plan that you're cursed. And these two gatekeepers, devotees of mine, and Lord orders them to go to the material world and remember him in enmity. So mystic yoga in enmity, and will come back to me. And we have seen that that's the Lord plan, that they came to the material world, and at the end Brahma says that this is the Lord's plan. All these problems that you are having now is Lord's plan. So we have to accept that beautiful purport we read. I think we all should read that purport every day. And sometimes our faith is shaken when something happened to someone in our family, or to a devotee, to another devotee. Our faith is shaken. Our faith becomes strong by hearing, by reading every day. Our faith becomes really strong. Thank you very much. I'll have to stop it there. Really appreciate. Over to you, Madhav Kumar Prabhu. You may want to talk about this mentorship system in the temple now.
Oh, I just wanted to thank you first for the wonderful session. With your encouragement, we're connecting the dots. It's all coming together, and we're improving or hoping to improve our own standard as practicing devotees. Just a quick couple of things. One, of course, this Saturday onwards, I'm sure all of you know, reiterating again, we are starting a 12 session over the 6 weeks weekend course for children. It's actually for anybody who would like to just listen to storytelling. Every day of the weekend, we'll be finishing one full canto. So over the next 6 weeks, which is 12 Saturdays and Sundays, 12 days altogether, one canto will be covered. The session is aimed at children, but it's a story format. So anybody who's ready to listen and wants to take some pleasure in listening to the pastimes from the Bhagavatam is welcome. If you don't have children, then you can sponsor children for your friends and family. Just a wonderful opportunity. The course is being conducted by ISKCON Chowpatty. They have some very, very wonderful preachers. And as part of the course, we'll also be issuing a certificate for completion. And there is a beautiful Bhagavatam Tales color illustrated book that has been printed. That'll also be provided. So anybody you think is eligible, 7, 8, 9 onwards, we'd highly recommend that you should take the opportunity to join and listen in. That's one. And the second is we've been announcing that in the temple, if anybody who's keen to step up their own spiritual practices and is looking for some direct one-to-one guidance, then we have a mentorship support system, and you're free to approach any one of the 4 nominated mentors for some individual support with your spiritual lives. So that's an ongoing offering. We will have at the temple. And please feel free to approach anybody from the temple management and seek individual support if that's what you're looking for to improve your own spiritual lives. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Anybody has any comments or any realizations, any questions?
May I ask a question, please?
Yes, Samsini Mataji. Hare Krishna.
I'm not changing anything of what we hear, obviously, because I know that would be a terrible thing to do. But one of the stories I'd come across on the downfall of Vijaya was they given the choice whether to enter into the material world for a larger amount of lives as good characters, or to go into the world as a shorter number of times, 3 times, as the not such good characters. But when we listen to what we've just heard, and I've listened to it before, it seems that Krishna has already ordained what he chose anyway for them to choose, if that makes sense. Have I got something right or wrong?
Yeah, I think you're right. I heard that. I think, yeah, 10 births as devotees and 3 births as enemies or non-devotees, I think. Yeah, but it's Lord's will. That's why they chose. Even their choosing is also choosing. Also, it's Lord's plan, isn't it? Say when Kumaras cursed, that was also Lord's plan. So yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Thank you very much. See you all next week, Krishna willing. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.